Hello and welcome back to another Wednesday Hope and Healing Hour. I'm RoyceFThomason, minister, light worker, spiritual healer, just a person on the planet who's aiming to embody love and light and to help encourage all of us to do the same. So we're here every Wednesday, sharing love, sharing light, literally sharing healing. We make that available for anyone who is dealing with any kind of health concern or anything of that nature. We're more than happy to offer healing. God is a healer without a question. I just realized I didn't put the banner. Actually, that's not the one that I meant to put. Okay, absolutely, God is a healer, and that healing is available, and it can manifest in a lot of different ways that we don't actually have to live with the different issues. That we can get to the other side of them. There are options that are available beyond what's communicated through the more mainstream means. At any rate. Today is the 25th of November, 2020. 2020 has been a super interesting year, all kind of interesting things happening. And really, quite frankly, a lot has been being uncovered this year. A lot of things that have existed deep within the lower levels of our existence individually and definitely on a collective level. There are just a lot of things that are rising to the surface, and they're rising to the surface. These things didn't come to stay, as I like to say that Reverend Shahira Stevens says. I love how she says that they didn't come to stay, they came to pass. And so there are some things that are coming up. They're not coming to stay, they're coming to pass. We're going through some changes in order to get to another level of healing, another level of wholeness, another level of unity and harmony and love amongst humanity. Okay? And so in that context, we have been facing all kinds of craziness this year with pandemic, with just what seems to be all types of sense of separation, people experiencing a sense of isolation, people experiencing a lot of distrust, a lot of people not really trusting or feeling safe with other people. There seems to be a whole lot of division. There have been issues with the economy and people being able to work, people not being able to come together and share and spend time with their loved ones. Here in the United States, a lot of political divide and contentious election, a lot going on with that. And there's just been a lot that's been going on in terms of civil unrest, people just not being willing to take some of the things that have been experienced in terms of man's inhumanity towards man. A lot of situations where there's been, violence towards a lot of violence that is showing up in the mainstream. It's nothing new to people of color in this country, but it is showing up more in the mainstream. There is greater degree of civil unrest uprising. But in the midst of that, and in the midst of all of these changing difficulties and challenges that are going on, I maintain that there is still an order in the midst of all of that, even though it doesn't seem like it, okay? Personally, I've been going through a lot of different interesting changes, and some of them have been less than easy to face and to deal with. But in the midst of that, there's opportunity. We're one day, tomorrow is Thanksgiving. And whereas there are some roots in the holiday, unfortunately, that really deal with taking other people's land and kicking them off of it that really wasn't too cool. Um, the concept of taking time to give thanks for all of the bounty that's available, for the harvest that's available, is still, I believe, a very worthwhile concept to focus on. And so here we are in the midst of all of these interesting, strange things that have been taking place throughout 2020. Here we are at Thanksgiving, one day before Thanksgiving, and our kind of theme that we're focusing on, if you will, today to a certain degree, is shifting perspectives. Shifting perspectives. I know that like I said, I've been dealing with a lot of things, personally, uh, with the sense of isolation for over 6 months. The only people I really saw were at the grocery store. And there's only so much interaction that's going to take place there. Um, it had been a long time that I had sat in front of another person without wearing a mask, and going through divorce and relocating to a different state. There have been some long standing things that were beneath my radar in terms of some blind spots within me that I've been working on uncovering. And in the midst of that, different things are rising to the surface. Just as I was saying earlier, all of us are experiencing different things rising to the surface on an individual level, and a lot of things coming up collectively too. And I've found just very recently, dealing with another situation that is presenting its own challenges, and having difficulty with that, I ended up actually shifting. I felt guided, and that's part of the beauty of God. There's always a better way. No matter what way we're taking, what approach we're taking to a situation, there's always a better way. And I believe that there is tremendous value when we're facing difficulties, we're facing hardships, just things that are difficult for us to be able to navigate. There is such a release that can come in just shifting our perspective. And so, with tomorrow being a day that is focused on giving thanks and focused on dwelling in a state of appreciation. When I was in seminary in Indianapolis, there was a pastor named Philip Shobe. I remembered something that he said, and that was well over 20 years ago. He said, if you're thankful, that means you're not sinkable. If you're thankful, you're not sinkable. And I thought that was really powerful. And so, one of the things I've been finding for me personally, and I believe that this can be helpful for you too, I'd like to share that with you for that purpose, is being able to, in the midst of a challenging situation, in the midst of situations that might not seem fair or just difficult for whatever reason, asking this question: what has this experience come to teach me? Okay, what has this experience come to teach me? And then when you're able to ask that question, one is, it can be very tempting to fall into a victim mode. It can be very tempting to fall into a victim mode, but it can be much more empowering to ask that question: what does this experience come to teach me? And then even asking the question from a truly genuine, open-hearted place, and from a framework of having an open mind, having an open mind and an open heart, and asking that question really allows for the perspective to be shifted into something that is much more empowering and much more, really, frankly, much more useful. In my mind, I'm thinking about something that Yeshua, Jesus, was quoted as saying: worrying, can it really add anything of value to your life? Can worrying add 1 cubit to your life? And no, the fact of the matter is that there's nothing that worrying can do that's going to ultimately benefit you. is certainly not going to change anything for the better. But being able to shift a perspective to a more empowering approach, I've really found that to be very, very helpful. And asking that question, what does this situation come to teach me? And then listening for that answer, that helps to shift a perspective, because in reality, we're going to keep on experiencing the same stuff over and over again. It may show up in a different way, it may show up in a different form, it may show up through a different person or through a different series of circumstances, but ultimately, it's like we're on a repeat mode, stuck in a pattern. Like, perhaps there's some who remember records. I remember records, and sometimes a scratch would get on a record, and if a scratch would get on a record, it would go and then it would kind of get stuck in that spot, and it wouldn't be able to move forward in the song. Okay. Now, there is a beautiful symphony that is unfolding within the cosmos, and there is a song that the living of our lives at its best should be a beautiful piece of music, really, if I can use that analogy. And yet, there are times that I believe all of us have these difficult situations that we might face, or these places where we might get stuck in our lives. And it's like a skip in the record where we're not really able to go forward. And the thing about, even about the skip in a record, it's not like it's on a harmonious loop usually. It's usually a situation where it's usually a situation where it's like, that's how it is. And so it's kind of disjointed. It, it doesn't seem to make a lot of sense. There really definitely isn't a sense of harmony that, one experiences when that record has that scratch in it and stuck and can't move forward. And so it is oftentimes with our lives. And that shows up sometimes in relationships. It shows up sometimes in different life circumstances. I was speaking with, just recently heard a story. I won't even say where I heard it from because I don't want to risk revealing the identity of the person who experienced this. This person had been in a series of auto accidents. There was a reason that they were in those series of auto accidents. Me in my own personal life, I've just gone through the second divorce within less than 10 years. And even those were really actually repeating other relationships where, that did not result in marriage. I've come to realize that there was a pattern that was being repeated, because there's something for me to learn in every situation. If you keep injuring a certain part of the body, and I'm speaking here in this moment from the perspective of a healer, because I've seen things happen with many people where they keep re-injuring a certain part of the body, where they keep having a certain type of accident and things of that nature. And in every situation, it's the result of something that hadn't been resolved. And then when that issue gets resolved, that problem then goes away. Because even a physical accident or injury taking place is the result of something within our own energy field, something going on within our consciousness, something going on the inside of us that's playing out outwardly, either outwardly through our physical bodies or outwardly in our life experiences in one way or another. And then the result of that is that we end up being bogged down by that thing until we resolve whatever that issue was, until we get that balanced out, until we perhaps learn what it is that experience came to teach us. I really do believe that's an empowering approach in terms of a way to look at it. And it does really help to shift our perspective, to see things in a way that can actually keep us from making similar mistakes even in other areas of our lives. Okay, when we realize that we are actually stuck in recovery, a person in recovery has to actually acknowledge that they have a problem. Otherwise, the recovery never actually ends up taking place. Okay. an apology that comes where a person doesn't really recognize where they have caused pain to another person, that ends up being an empty apology because there's really been no shifting in perspective. There's a concept in, well, perhaps in other places too, definitely I know it is in Christianity, called repentance. Repentance isn't just not doing a certain thing anymore. It's really changing your mind, seeing things from a different perspective and choosing to do differently. Not out of fear of something bad happening to you, but because you recognize that that is just not going to be a beneficial way, perhaps for you, and perhaps maybe not for someone else that you may have negatively impacted in a certain way in the past. I know that I have had some situations where when when the veil was lifted from my eyes and I was able to see things clearly, I would never want to do that sort of thing again to cause harm to someone else, or in some cases uh, to myself. And so um, the more that we can, with a spirit of humility, rather than lashing out in anger and frustration at the things that are so called happening to us, because in reality, there's nothing that happens to us outside of where it is that we're lining up in terms of our consciousness, our frequency, where it is that we're vibing. And so if what we are really feeling deep down inside is a sense of unworthiness, but we want love, then that wanting is going to continue to remain in effect. We will continue to be in want of that thing because deep down inside we don't feel worthy of it, or we don't feel like we can have it, or we don't feel like it's really a real possibility. And so that deep down thing that where we're really truly resonating, we might want one thing and end up experiencing something else. But the truth of the matter is that we don't get what it is that we want necessarily. We get what it is that we are vibing with. Okay. And so that's a reason that we continue to repeat certain unhealthy patterns. It's a reason that we continue, in many cases, to repeat certain experiences or continue to have repetitious experiences that are of undesirable nature. Okay. And again, it may show up in different ways, it may show up in different forms. But if we can find what lesson there is in that, we can get past that. Just like in school, you don't typically uh, go to the 12th grade without finishing the 11th grade unless you've done something to test out, unless you've shown that there's a level of competency that you've reached that will allow you to skip over some classes or something of that nature, or skip a grade or something of that nature. And so the more competent that we are, whether that's in school or whether that's in life experience, we're able to graduate to another level, to a greater degree of advancement. And that's what life really is all about on this planet, is moving from one state to another state, hopefully a higher state, evolving as beings of love and light. We're all children of God, made in the image and likeness of an infinitely wise, infinitely loving, infinitely powerful source of existence. Okay. Most of the times we don't let ourselves know that. Some of the times we let our ego know that, or our ego will spin that for us in a way that actually still ultimately keeps us disempowered. Okay. Where we intellectually think it, but deep down inside, we don't necessarily believe it. And we might respond with some various forms of arrogance, or forms of projections and superiority complexes and things of that nature. Person who really knows who he or she really is able to maintain a high degree of confidence, but that confidence is rooted in a humility, because they realize that absolutely no one is any greater than them. They also realize that they are no greater than anyone else. Okay. Looks like I got a little something caught in my throat. Could use a little water, but I didn't bring any handy with me just now. I saw that we had some people in earlier. I don't know that anybody is still with us now. I was just about to do a check-in and see who's available and with us today. And if we don't have that, I'm sorry for that I didn't make that as available, excuse me, as available as I perhaps would have liked to. So I do want to put it out there for anybody who might even catch this. We're on Facebook, on YouTube Live, both of these live. If you happen to catch a playback, I'm just going to ask that you actually think about an area of your life that might be able to use some healing. And pardon me, I'm going to ask that you invite the presence of God into that area, no matter how frustrating it is. As a matter of fact, the more frustrating it is, the more difficult it is for you, the greater the need is for you to welcome God into that particular area of your life. Welcome love and light into that particular area of your life. And then express gratitude for that. A genuine sense of gratitude that love and light and power and the presence of God are always available, because it really is true. It really is true. Sometimes we don't let ourselves know that. Sometimes it can be really super easy to get distracted by all of the chaos that's going on, or it can be very easy to get distracted by our pain. It can be easy to get distracted by what we perceive as the deficiency in other people. That might have a negative, that we experience ourselves as having a negative impact on our lives due to other people's issues, whatever they might be. And it's easy to project as a result of that. But the more we can recognize the presence of God available in that moment, uh, that we're experiencing that frustration, that pain, whatever it is, and really express gratitude and appreciation for it being available. Now, I want to check in and see who's with us. If there's anybody who is, well, if you're here with us, just say hello or wave. Let us know who's here with us. We'd love to acknowledge you. We love to just know who's out there. Um, and if anyone is out there who is wanting some healing in a specific area, some support in a specific area, please let us know. We'd certainly be more than happy to offer some support in that area. And if nobody does, I'm going to just take a moment and I'm going to say a little prayer. I'm going to offer a little healing. If at any point there's somebody who wants some specific healing or some specific attention, dealing with some physical pain, some emotional pain, some difficulties they're facing, or anything else, let me know. I'll be glad to do that. By the way, this being the day before Thanksgiving, I think of a friend who was actually faced with a situation of getting depressed every year leading up to Thanksgiving and around Thanksgiving time. Didn't necessarily know completely why, but it turned out that there were some the pain that this person was experiencing, the pain that she felt, was in connection to, and the emotional pain I'm talking about, was in connection to natives of this land and how they had been treated many years ago. And we actually now commemorate a bountiful harvest, but we forget the negative impact that those who were actually already inhabiting this land had experienced. Fortunately, I'm thankful we did some work around that, and they no longer experience that sense of depression come around Thanksgiving time. So very thankful for that. Again, the healing is powerful, and it is available, and it's an option that's available for you. There's nothing that's beyond God's ability to heal. I'm thankful that I've been blessed to be able to participate in a whole bunch of healing on behalf of a lot of people. It's beautiful to be able to see God work in somebody's life in that way, and very humbling and extremely rewarding to be able to be a vessel that gets to participate in that with people. But we're going to go ahead and we're going to lift a prayer and then put some healing energy out there for anybody who happens to check this out. And it's going to be of a more general nature since I don't see anybody requesting anything in any specific area. So this will be whether you catch it live or whether you catch it on a replay, you'll be able to actually receive the benefits of this. All right. So I'm going to go ahead and start with this prayer. God, I know you to be a healer, the source of every good thing. It is from you that all of the bounty that is available, it all comes from you. Sometimes we forget all of the good, all of the love, all of the joy that is available to us. But in this moment, I stand here or sit here humbled and appreciative of the opportunity to demonstrate you as a healer, as a function of the union that we share through the power of your Holy Spirit and the pure love that you are. On the behalf of everyone who may tune into this, everyone who may catch it on a replay, and even the loved ones of those who are connected to said people, that the root cause of all sense of emotional turmoil or feeling stuck in life might be neutralized at the point of the causal root. The entire energetic structure of every cell, every strand of DNA, every string particle of the existence of every single one of us. Transmuting that into and replacing it with a sense of authentic spiritual empowerment rooted in divine confidence and humility, and a peace and resolve that comes with shifting perspective to that of gratitude and appreciation for the availability of the power of your presence. Now bear witness to our wholeness on this date and in this time and space called now. Thank you, God, for this gift of your divine love. It is done. It is done. It is done. All right. And so we're going to just go ahead and kind of get into the healing here. Again, this is general healing for anybody who happens to tune in. And we're going to um, actually look at a part of the brain called the reticular activating system that deals with things that we take in through our eye gates, through our ear gates, that end up significantly affecting our subconscious and ends up manifesting in our outward life experiences. So we're going to look at just general negative programming from sensory impressions of things heard, seen, and experienced in the past. And we want to just generally resolve that sense of negativity. Okay. Want to look at trauma All of us have so many traumas manifested in so many ways, even in the collective consciousness of humanity, there's trauma there. We want to resolve some of that trauma of an emotional nature, psychic trauma, and ongoing repetitive trauma of seeing the same thing again or experiencing the same thing again. We want to call that neutralized and transformed and transmuted into a sense of peaceful resolve and gratitude for lessons learned. May ask the question, what lesson there to learn from trauma? It is often in difficulties that we learn our greatest lessons. It's often in challenges that we grow the most. So just delving into a sense of appreciation and gratitude and sense of empowerment and celebration of what we've been able to grow through. Okay. I want to encourage all of us to actually take some time out and thank your soul. Thank your soul. Honor your soul for all that your soul has experienced. Love on yourself. And by that, I don't just mean buy yourself a nice piece of jewelry or something like that, or pamper yourself. I mean, those things are fine, but I mean, truly talk to your inner self, particularly the wounded aspects of your inner self, and nurture that aspect of yourself. Hmm. Want to call forth for all of us the activation of uh, that ability to nurture the wounded aspects of our own being. Want to transmute a lot of the fear that's been surrounding that, of letting those wounds be exposed to another person, to ourselves, or even to God. Realizing that there's nothing, whereas it may be wise to not necessarily reveal everything to everyone, there are safe spaces where we can share openly. And God is one of those safe spaces. So we want to strengthen our ability to allow ourselves to be transparent with ourselves and with God, to be vulnerable with ourselves and with God, and to take authority and to be able to speak with authority over the problems that we've experienced in our lives, knowing that we have been given power over all of the power of the enemy. What is the enemy? Is it some outside external force? Or is it the enemy within ourselves, within our own thinking, within our own consciousness? Those voices that we hear telling us stories over and over in our head that we're not good enough, or that we're too much of this, or that we're too much of that we're not enough of this, that we're not enough of that. Maybe we need to take authority over those negative patterns that we've been playing out over and over again, the places where our record has gotten scratched and we've been stuck going around and around, but without actually going forward, without really allowing the music of our lives to continue to play in a way that brings beauty to the degree that it certainly could and was always intended to. All right. And in that vein, I want to give thanks that we have all been empowered with the ability to speak over our lives, with an ability to speak over the challenges and the situations that we face, to speak over the dweller of the threshold. What is the dweller of the threshold? It's like that energy, that vibrational energy that stands between us and the other side of our blessings. And sometimes we'll stand right at the portal of the blessings and be either afraid to go through or for whatever reason unable to go through because there's a dweller on the threshold. There's something that's there that's blocking us. It's like a glass wall that's standing in our way, and it may manifest as fear. It may manifest as unworthiness. But I speak over all of us today that we are worthy, that we are well able, that there is a blessing for us, a level of blessing for us that we are now receiving, that we are open to receive, that we are receiving now, that we are receiving all the good that God has for us. More and more of that is being made manifest in our lives now, in spite of the fact that we've got some challenges working against us. Those challenges might be big, but they're small in comparison to God. And there's a God dwelling on the inside of us. That sacred spark of God exists within each and every one of us. And just as that sacred spark of God exists within us, and just as God spoke and said, "Let there be light," and there was light, we have that same creative potential within us. And we can speak a thing, we can call out a thing, and that thing has no choice but to be so if we really do it, knowing in our heart that it is so. Speaking with confidence and a sense of assuredness that it has no choice but to manifest itself. And so I call forth that within each and every one of us, that we do so with a sense of empowerment, not necessarily a sense of entitlement, but a sense of empowerment, with a sense of authority, with a sense of gratitude, and with a sense of willingness to be able to no longer stay forever stuck in whatever patterns that there have been holding us back. Sometimes the stuckness might seem to manifest as a person that's holding us back, but the only person who's ever been holding us back is ourselves. And those unhealed aspects within ourselves that we have either felt unworthy or unable to go forward. But we go forward into this Thanksgiving with a sense of gratitude for the courage to move forward, for the courage to keep on pressing on, for the courage to face the dragon, if we will, the courage to face the giants that are standing in our way, that are in the way of our promised land, and the authority and the confidence and the assuredness that they are defeated. Not that we can defeat it, but we can speak now that it's already a done deal, that they are defeated now, and we can claim the blessings that are available now. That we can stand forward in a greater degree of giving because we've allowed more to be flowing in us, through us, and as us. And so we're receiving more, and we're also giving more. The wealthiest person is not the one who has the much. The richest person, the wealthiest person is the one who's able to give the most. And so those who have a lot but are afraid of losing what they have aren't really that wealthy. The wealthy ones are the ones who are able to give so much. And from them and through them, so much goodness flows into the lives of others. And that might show up financially. It might show up in time. It might show up in a variety of other ways. But the wealthiest are those who are able to give the most. And we're able to give, the more we're able to give and keep that cycle of receiving and giving going, the more bountiful we are, the more life unfolds in a sense of flow for us individually and for us all collectively. This is how we were designed. We were designed to flow in the goodness of God, being made manifest in all kinds of different ways. And as we go into this Thanksgiving holiday, whether you're around loved ones in person or whether you're doing an outdoor gathering or whether you're on Zoom or however you're doing it, may we go into this time, this season with a spirit of gratitude for and a greater degree of empowerment that's always available. And as we go into this day, may we do so with a spirit of love, a spirit of openness and genuineness. Maybe there are some healing conversations that need to take place. Maybe there are some places that we might need to explore within ourselves. Maybe there's some shadows that we might need to look at within ourselves. The reality is that those shadows, they disappear when the light is shined on them. When we shine the light on the shadows disappear. Whatever those difficulties are that have been holding us back, if we allow ourselves to be open and honest with ourselves and with the God of our creation about those things, and just with a spirit of genuine authenticity, ask God to help us move past it and embrace something more empowering, more fruitful, more bountiful, and then take the steps that are necessary to do that, because there very well may be some action that's required on our part. But I know that we're capable. I trust that we're all going to do that. I love you. I pray God's blessings upon you. I'm thankful for all of the things that have unfolded in your life. Some of the things were things that you were glad about, maybe some not quite so much. But what I do know is that all things are able to work together for your good if you allow yourself to dwell in that awareness. And if you're able to shift your perspective from a less empowering perspective, a why me, a poor me, a why is this happening, to a perspective of what did this come to teach me? What is it that I can learn from this experience? How can I grow in this experience and take a more empowered approach going forward? Then there are blessings that come in that, beloved. I love you. Happy Thanksgiving to you. And I look forward to catching you soon. If not before, we'll see you same time next Wednesday for the Wednesday Hope and Healing Hour. I'm RoyceFThomason, and I am affirming that you are a being of love and light that is worthy of all sorts of good things. May all that no longer serves you be washed away, and may that which can add value to your life show up. May you have the capacity to receive it, even to the point of overflowing, that others might be blessed as a result of the bounty that is overflowing in your life. God bless you. I love you. And I'll see you soon.